Welcome back to Bengals Breakdown, where we talk real football, only Bengals. Let's get straight to the heat. Could Duke Tobin have pulled off another late round masterclass? You know Tobin's track record. He's had his fair share of hits. And yes, a few misses. But there's one name you need to keep an eye on this year. A 2024 draft pick who didn't make much noise last season, but might be ready to explode in 2025. No gimmicks, no fluff, just real talk about a player who could end up being one of the smartest draft moves of the past 2 years. And with the Bengals needing reinforcements, especially on the edge, this could be huge. But before we break down who this potential breakout star is, if you live and breathe Bengals football like we do, make sure you subscribe to the channel, smash that like button, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a Bengals update. All right, let's get to the news. The name you need to know is Cedric Johnson, the Bengals' sixth-round pick from Ole Miss in 2024. Now look, last year, Johnson barely saw the field, and honestly, that surprised a lot of people. But with uncertainty swirling around the edge rusher position, especially with Trey Hendrickson's situation still hanging in the air, Johnson might be the guy who steps in and turns heads. This is exactly the kind of moment where a late rounder becomes a key piece of a championship puzzle. Trey Hendrickson's contract situation is still in limbo, and that's a serious concern for this Bengals defense. But it's not the only issue at edge. The 2025 first-round pick, Shamar Stewart, remains unsigned as of now. That's a massive red flag. A top pick who hasn't taken a single practice rep yet? That's not the start Cincinnati hoped for. And when you take a step back and look at the rest of the room, one name keeps resurfacing: Cedric Johnson. Last year, Johnson quietly made an impression. Despite limited snaps, he suited up for 9 games and even notched a sack. When most of the pressure was falling on Hendrickson, who put up a ridiculous 17.5 sacks, it was clear the Bengals needed someone else to step in. Johnson had the energy, the burst, and the instincts. It's just that the reps didn't come consistently. But here's what matters. Even as a 6th-round rookie, he earned the trust of coaches and teammates enough to see the field. That doesn't happen by accident. It means they saw something in him, something real. Now, with uncertainty at the top of the depth chart and no rookie deal in place for Stewart, Johnson has a real shot to carve out a bigger role. He's not a rookie anymore. He knows the system, and he's got something to prove. This could be the year Cedric Johnson steps up and becomes a crucial part of the Bengals' defense in 2025. Cedric Johnson's path to the Bengals wasn't built on hype. It was built on production and potential. He's a mobile, Alabama native, a Davidson High School product, and came out of the recruiting scene as a 3-star. Nothing flashy, just a guy who worked. He chose Ole Miss and made every snap count. Across 46 games for the Rebels, Johnson racked up over 100 tackles, 23 tackles for loss, 19 sacks, and a pair of forced fumbles. Those sack numbers? That's exactly what the Bengals need, especially with the constant cloud hanging over Trey Hendrickson's future in Cincinnati. Let's be real. Too often last season, the pass rush felt like it was all on Hendrickson's shoulders. That can't continue. It's part of the reason why the Bengals invested a first-rounder in Shamar Stewart. But with his contract still unsigned, the team may have to lean on guys like Johnson more than expected. And physically, he checks the boxes. At 6 feet 3 inches, 260 pounds, he's got the frame. His vertical hit 38 inches. His broad jump, 10 feet, 2 inches. He also pumped out 25 reps on the bench. Serious power that translates directly into shedding blocks and collapsing the pocket. When you look at the combination of production, athleticism, and the current needs on this Bengals defense, one thing becomes clear: Cedric Johnson has the tools, and now possibly the opportunity, to become a breakout name in 2025. There's really no question about Cedric Johnson's athletic upside. It jumps off the screen. Bengals fans will remember him wearing number 52 last season. Every time he stepped on the field, he looked like a spark, quick off the edge, aggressive through contact, always creating chaos. The Bengals are in desperate need of another disruptive force on that defensive line. Johnson may have been a late-round pick, but his physical tools and presence suggest much more. With Trey Hendrickson's status still uncertain and Shamar Stewart unsigned, this defense needs someone who can make plays. Johnson looks like a guy ready to answer the call, and it's not just the eye test. Insiders are taking notice. Paul Denner Jr., covering the Bengals for The Athletic, recently pointed out that Cedric Johnson has been turning heads throughout the offseason. According to him, Johnson's been in regular rotations and has earned praise across the organization. At 6 feet 3 inches, 260 pounds, he brings something unique to the edge: speed. He's the only one in that room right now who fits the true speed rusher mold, and that opens the door for a clear sub-package role in this defense. He may not be an every down starter just yet, but when the Bengals need burst, pressure, and energy off the edge, Cedric Johnson could be the name they turn to. The Bengals have one major priority on defense heading into 2025, getting to the quarterback. It's been a consistent struggle, and when you really examine the defensive end depth chart, it thins out fast. Sure, Trey Hendrickson is still your top guy, and Shamar Stewart, once signed, will be expected to contribute early, but after those two, it's wide open. That's where Cedric Johnson comes back into the conversation. Whether it's a late-round pick like him or even a UDFA, someone from that second tier needs to emerge. And Johnson, flying under the radar but impressing internally, has a legitimate shot to seize that role. Now, let's take a real look at this edge group. Hendrickson, Stewart, and Joseph Ossai are names you recognize, but it looks like the Bengals are leaning toward giving Myles Murphy a bigger opportunity this season. That's a shift, because last year it was Ossai who actually beat out Murphy for reps down the stretch. Then there's Cam Sample, a guy with real upside who's coming off an Achilles injury. If he can bounce back to his pre-injury form, he adds much needed depth to this rotation. But here's the real question. Can Cedric Johnson push Joseph Ossai for a bigger role? That battle could be one of the most important storylines of camp. And if Johnson keeps building momentum, don't be surprised if he climbs this depth chart faster than expected. Last season, Joseph Ossai showed flashes, enough to earn a one-year prove-it deal. But the question heading into 2025 is no longer what he's done. It's, can someone push him for reps? Enter Cedric Johnson. He might not have a size, and he might not be a force in run defense just yet, but what he can do, and what this team desperately needs, is get after the quarterback. If Johnson proves he can do that consistently, it's going to be hard to keep him off the field. He's already made the roster once, and with the edge depth being what it is, he's almost a lock to do it again. But this time, the expectations are higher. The opportunity is real, and it's going to come down to how much Jerry Montgomery and new defensive coordinator Al Golden can pull out of him, and how hard Johnson pushes to take that next step. There's a reason Duke Tobin believed in him. There's a reason fans are starting to whisper his name when they talk about the future of this pass rush. If Cedric Johnson breaks through, he doesn't just fill a hole. He helps solve one of the Bengals' biggest problems heading into the season.